So every morning I wake up and I think to myself, I wonder if there's going to be good news today. And then I turn on the news, open up my phone, and realize, you know what? There's nothing good that's happening today. Now, I bring this up because, again, we are being lied to. And you're probably getting tired of being lied to. And you should be, because you deserve the truth. But here's what we need to discuss. Because right now, even though you deserve to be told the truth, it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Today, I need to share with you how we are being lied to again, and how this is about to really hurt not just the American people, but it's going to cause panic here in the US and around the world as well. And all I ask is if you can do me one favor, go ahead, hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm, and let's begin. So here is the lie that has been continuing on over the past couple of weeks. And it is that the U.S. banking system is sound. Essentially, the U.S. banking system is sound, so I guess it's technically not a lie. However, the banks within the system are not sound. This is a problem. Ever since the Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, it made it so that the public knew what was going on. And they knew that there was a real problem, and the banks didn't want us to know about it. Banks have always had liquidity issues. We've always seen that they have problems with lending, especially in times when we are seeing our interest rates change, whether it's going up or down. That's a major problem. But what pushed these banks over the edge is the bank runs. So essentially what's going on is we are now being told it is us. When we go to the bank and request our money, that is the problem. When we use our cards to go and purchase gold, that is a problem. Even though gold is now up pretty well. Again, we're being told it's us. We are the problem. Because when millions and billions of dollars are getting pulled from specific banks because we are now worried about our money, that is creating a massive problem. And I get it. In a recent report, it states that U.S. banks are sitting on $1.7 trillion of unrealized losses. And this isn't a problem until depositors start requesting some of their money back. Because currently, we have more than $17 trillion in total U.S. bank deposits. $7 trillion of that is not insured by the FDIC. And this is why more depositors are pulling their money out. Again, think about it. If you have $300,000 in the bank, well, only $250,000 of that is insured by the FDIC. The other $50,000 is not. So if you are concerned, you would go to the bank, you'd pull out $50,000, and you go put it in a different account. But what does that do to that bank? Well, it creates a little bit of stress if more people start doing this. Originally, the Treasury stated that all of our deposits would be insured and they would be safe. But then, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen just the other day walked back this statement saying that there won't be a blanket insurance to cover all deposits. And guess what happened? Well, this morning, we started getting reports that Deutsche Bank would be the next bank to go under. Their stock has been sliding for 3 consecutive days. This morning, it went down around 14%, all because the cost to insure it against a default has risen. This is why people are concerned. This can take down a bank, and it will take down this bank. But again, this is where we've been lied to. We keep hearing that everything will be just fine as long as we don't pull our money out of the banks. Keep it right where it's at. But again, who wants to risk their money just to save a bank that could care less about them? I know I wouldn't. Well, I was talking to a friend the other day. And this friend who is in finance, he gave me this analogy. This is the analogy that I used. He said that the banking crisis is like a sinking ship where the ship won't sink as long as the people on board do not move or don't get off the ship. He said, think of a ship that has two large holes on both ends of the ship. and the people on the ship are evenly dispersed throughout it. The ship is going to stay afloat, but as long as one person moves, so let's say one side has water, the other side has food. As long as one person from the food side goes over to get the water side because they're thirsty, guess what happens? The ship starts to go down. Right? One side of the ship gets lower, it's now underwater, it's taking on water, the ship will eventually sink until another person comes back to even it out. That was the analogy that I used. He said this is exactly what's happening with banks. One person starts pulling their money out, and if more people are not putting their money in, it's going to create that ripple effect, and this is what's causing banks to collapse. And this is not what we want. But who's going to be putting more money back into the bank if they are worried it's going to go under? I know I wouldn't. Now, what is going on here? How are we going to fix this? Well, there's two ways to fix this. President Biden hasn't done much as far as the banking industry lately. And all he's done recently is point fingers at certain lawmakers saying, you know what, we shouldn't have passed this legislation. You guys are at fault. That's what he's done. And he's also said that Congress needs to step up and ensure that all our deposits are safe. Well, I don't think they're going to do that. They have other issues on their hands, and that is going to take precedence over a bank, especially a smaller bank. If we're talking about a big bank, Congress will come out of the woodworks. They'll cancel their their 2-week vacation if they have to ensure that our banking system is sound. But here's the reality of the situation. As long as we continue to have high inflation, the Fed is going to have to do its job to figure out a way to bring inflation back down near its target of 2%. We're at 6% right now. We're 4% away. And it is going to take some time in order to get this done. So, here's what experts are saying. Experts believe that this is going to get better. The banking system will resolve itself. However, it's going to take time. Some banks are going to go under. It could be your bank. So if you have all your money in one bank, and I've said this before, if you have, let's say, $10,000 in a bank account, that's fine. It's FDIC insured. But here's the issue. If the bank goes under and they shut down completely for, let's say, 3 days, why they try to work things out, and FDIC comes in, they make sure that the bank is being run, people can get their money, all this stuff. They're going to conduct a sale, whatever, right? Doesn't matter. The problem is, what if you need even $10 from that bank over the next 3 days? What are you going to do? This is why experts say, and I've said this before, you need to put your money in multiple banks. Even if it's just two. Don't put it in the same, don't go from, Chase Bank, they should be fine. Okay, if JP Morgan Chase goes under, well, we got other issues. But let's say you put it in, Joe Schmo's bank, your branch in, City A, and then you go put more money in Joe Schmo's bank in branch B in a different city. That's still in the same bank. Go to different banks. Okay, put some money in Chase, put some money in a smaller bank, a credit union, whatever. Okay, just so you can have access to it, just in case something were to happen. But this is the reason why. Experts say that the economy will get better. The biggest reason why banks are having this crisis is because it costs more money to insure them in case they do default. That's one. Another reason why is as people start pulling money, banks right now are sitting on $1.7 trillion in unrealized losses. Why are they unrealized? Well, they're unrealized because they haven't sold them. And this is the way just banking and accounting works for the banks, but the way that they these assets that they're holding, they're giving them a value of what they purchased them at, not of their current market value. So that's why we have $1.7 trillion of unrealized losses. The only way this would become a realized loss is if the bank decide to sell. The only reason they would need to sell is because they have to pull money from that asset, even if it's a loss. They have to pull money from it to give money to the depositors that are asking for their money back. So, the only other option here is if the Fed decides to cut rates. And this is where some people are saying that, oh, it's going to happen very soon. I feel like you're going to be lied to here. At this point, it's very unlikely that the Fed is going to come out in the next couple months and start to cut rates. The reason why is because inflation is not at its target of 2%. It's far from it. We could be another 6 months to a year before inflation is closer to where it needs to be, but is that when the Fed is going to cut rates? Probably not. Experts believe that the Fed is going to wait till we are very close to our target, then they will pause, okay? And we may see a pause within the next few months, but just because we see a rate hike pause doesn't mean they're going to start cutting rates. That's what banks are hoping for. So banks right now are essentially gambling with our money and with their future and hoping that the Federal Reserve is going to start cutting rates. This is a problem, and this is where the lies are going to continue. So, as soon as we get more information as to what is going on here and how this is potentially going to impact you and your money, I promise I will be here every step of the way. I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. All I ask is if you can do two things. Go ahead and hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you click that subscribe button so you never miss an update. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.